we live?
In the back garden, or for people that like to talk about mechanics or be chi.
Are we live? We are live. I think. All right. Let's see how it's going here. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dominic Fragman, and this is an East Coast morning edition of Wicked Chops Live. I've been quite busy during the pandemic, and actually prior to that too, so it's been a little while since we've been on, but let's get started for some Wicked Chops Live on Drum Talk TV. Once again, I am Dominic Fragman. Let's move on to the drums right quick, huh? Let's do it. Good morning. All right. Let's get the volume back up. How's everybody doing today? Oh, I don't have my comment thing out. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Good morning. Carl has his own Wicked Chops, and he loves it. I love to hear that. How you doing this morning, Carl? Thank you for tuning in. This is my first time on for quite a while. It's been a couple months. This is Wicked Chops Live. It's something that we, for the past couple years, have been doing on a weekly basis at random times. And I, Dominic Fragman, have been the host of Wicked Chops Live, and I do this because I love music and I love drumming and I love sharing things that I think are significant about those things. And one of those things that I think is significant is definitely the Wicked Chops practice pad. This thing has been, man, it's awesome. I don't know what else to say about it. Let's see. People are commenting. I don't have my iPad set up, so let's see here. Good morning from Brazil. Hello, Eduardo. Good to see you. If anybody, thank you guys for being here, first off. And if anybody has a Wicked Chops practice pad, I'd love to hear about it. Our friend Carl here has said that he has a pad that he loves. And I have a few students that have snagged a pad, and it almost immediately started to really benefit their playing and clean up their strokes and that sort of thing. And I must say, it was not immediate for me. It took me a little while to get my stuff together so that I could play on the pad, and then again to be here with you all in this capacity, talking and thinking about other things while I was playing on the pad. And that did take quite a while, and one of the things I want to say about that is the reason why it took a while is because the pad is damn tiny. It's it's 1.5 inches in playing real estate that you have here, and therefore you must focus. And as a result of that focus that you give to your strokes and your practice time, you get more out of your practice time. You'll get expedited results. So you'll get basically the same kind of thing that you would get out of a regular practice pad, and trust me, I've used a bunch of them. You'll get what we usually think of when we think of a practice pad and developing skills as far as sticking and drumming is concerned, and that is usually people put a lot of focus on speed and power, precision, dexterity, endurance, and this pad will do all those things. It will do them in an expedited way because you'll have to be focused because it's so small. You won't be able to really think about other things or spend your time watching TV and going through your rudiments and this sort of thing. And like I said earlier, it took me a long time to get to the point where I could sit here and screw around and do a Wicked Chops live without, I still click all over the place, but not quite as bad. So, hello, Ted. Good to see you. Sorry, my comment moderation is going to be a little bit not as on point as usual because I usually have a nice little iPad here that lets me know who's watching. Please feel free to comment in and let us know where you're watching from, and also, if you have any questions, I'd love to. Part of the reason for being here is partly to share and create awareness around the Wicked Chops practice pad and the benefits that it can provide to those who put in a consistent kind of practice on it, but also to help answer questions, whether they're in regard to the pad or just general drumming and sticking. So one thing that I've been working a lot on for those who are interested is to try to get away from arm movements, especially when we're pulling out accents off the left hand. There's a tendency to do this. I see a lot of quite skilled individuals doing this sort of thing, and with the arms going. And I've been, and not that there's any problem with that, but I'm thinking I'd like to be able to pull those strokes out without that arm happening, and create accents and that sort of thing just from the wrist and the fingers working in conjunction with each other. And that sort of looks like this on this hand. I think we're all a little bit more familiar with it in the right hand, where we have this sort of thing happening. I'm not sure what we can see right now. Let me see if I can get to another view here. But yeah, here. So we see that the open and closing and the stick remaining in touch and in contact with the fingers as we do this sort of thing, and getting to the point where it's got both with your wrist in there too. And a good way to work on the fingers is like this sort of thing. Whether or not you want to hit your forearm. But then you also have this kind of action. In the left hand, I see a lot of people have a tendency to leave this big gap when you're doing traditional grip. To leave a big gap. It's really difficult to try to show you in this camera. To leave this big gap between these fingers and these fingers down here. And the stick will wobble around. And now I'm looking at this. I think these techniques are not uncommon, because that's the same kind of technique that you'd really want to be. Right, and that kind of thing. So you're getting your fingers all working, your wrists are working, and really you're starting to develop some relaxation by getting on the Wicked Chops pad and really focusing on what you're doing and working those things out. So all manner of sticking and rudiments can be executed on the Wicked Chops practice pad. Don't let this small size fool you. There's plenty of space here. We're threading onto an 8mm cymbal stand with the pocket-sized pad that I don't really keep in my pocket, but it can fit in there. But you know, you're getting focused and you're getting relaxed. And one of the things that I've noticed when that happens is when I release the tension in my body, whether or not it's in my forearms or my shoulders or my neck or my jaw, which I have carried and realized I've been carrying tension in all those places while I'm playing. When you release the physical tension in your body, you release the tension in your mind as well. And so your mind will free up to perceive interaction with the other players that you're working with, perceive ideas of your own and how to place those with other players that you're working with. I have the great fortune of being involved in a project called the Spirit of Innovation and Freedom with a master drummer, Paul F. Murphy, and a poet laureate, Jerry Carroll, and we have been recognized as making a new sound of music. So I have, like I said, the great fortune of being able to implement a lot of the more unconventional ideas that I have in very high-level musical situations. So it's pretty awesome. And as far as drumming goes, let's take another look at that. Translates like this for me at this point in time. Here we go. So you can see how some of that sort of comes together for me in exploring different ideas on the drum set, and that really has been facilitated by the technique that I've been able to develop and refine. Not anything specific to me, well, everything is specific to the entity, but not necessarily like I'm making something up in the technique that I'm using. I've studied Buddy Rich, Louis Belson, Tony Williams, Max Roach, Elvin Jones, and also guys like Vinnie Colaiuta and Steve Gadd, and course, love John Bonham and all those same people that you're taking in all these different things, and all the same people that you're familiar with, and the old guys, the new guys. I dig it all, and I've tried to take in different ideas from each. So, in regard to technique and musicality, so yeah, that's sort of how it has manifested for me as I've developed and refined the technique to help express the ideas that I have. Whether or not those ideas are something that people think are cool or normal or fit in whatever professional situation that they're used to being in. Again, I have the great fortune of being able to be in professional situations where I get to share this kind of playing, and it's very exciting. So, please, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Whether or not it's about the Wicked Chops pad, or drumming, or music in general. Again, the Spirit of Innovation and Freedom has been recognized as making a new sound in music. Master drummer Paul Murphy and I, who are part of that group, have written a book, a drum method book called The Continuum Method. You can reach out by Facebook or the websites. My name's Dominic Fragman. If you Google me, I'm sure you'll find me. And yeah, if you're interested in the book or lessons or hearing more about whatever, get in touch, please. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from you if you have a pad, a Wicked Chops practice pad, and you've been working on it. We'd love to see videos. We'd love to share those videos on Drum Talk TV. So I'm going to try to do this a little bit more often like we used to do, once a week. It's been very busy. I don't know how your lives have been changed by the pandemic. I have also been fortunate in that regard. I mean, I've lost all my gigs, but I have all been able to be involved and contribute to some pretty great community efforts towards solutions, including something that I was on NBC News for a lot in the recent weeks. A friend and a great engineer and friend of mine created a sanitization chamber that can sanitize up to 7,000 personal protective equipment masks an hour. And we are working on FDA approval right now. And that's just one of several things that are very positive that I've been fortunate to be a part of. So, yeah, I hope you all are staying well, healthy, and getting in some practice if that's what you choose to do. Again, I will take a little solo, see if there's any questions, and if there's not, we'll sign off and see you next time. So, I know there's a lag here, so I'll wait a minute. Oh, also, I will be on Drum Talk TV again tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern, I believe, with Drum Talk TV executive producer Dan Schinder, and we're going to do a little bit of an interview. So, let's see what this says here. Do you have tips to improve the left? Eduardo, absolutely. So the left hand, Eduardo, do you play traditional or matched grip? I myself have been working on traditional grip. I used to be a match grip player, but I started working on traditional grip and just kind of felt like that was where I was going to head and went with it. And really, I mean, the easiest thing to say is make sure you do what you do for your right hand for your left hand. And remember what you did for your right hand when it wasn't working for you as well as you want it to do. And that means going back to one stroke very slow at a time. Now, I don't care if that's with your left hand as traditional grip or you're with your left hand in this match grip. Sorry. But you're going to try to take the arm motion out of that. You see how I'm not pumping up and down here? You want to try to give it all to the wrists and the fingers. And the biggest tip that I can give in regard to anything is to relax and focus on those motions. Don't be impatient. Don't get too excited. There's no magic. It's just time. It takes time. Hello, good morning, Victor. Nice to see you. So yes, make sure you give it time. And you can do several things. But, even something as simple as, and I'm not telling you to go and sit around and play jazz rod cymbal patterns. But I have noticed, as I've worked on my weaker limbs, including my feet, that just trying to play that pattern, not incorporating independence in these sorts of things, and putting in different accents and stuff and keeping that pattern going. I don't even mean in terms of around the whole set or anything. I just mean it will have an effect on your hand and your ability to execute. So you can try those things with your left hand and all your and make sure you swing it and make sure you play it straight. So when you play it straight, you have this kind of thing. And when you swing it, and do that with your rudiments too. Singles, doubles, paradiddles, straight, swung. And make sure you do it from 1 and 2 and do it from the other side. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and do that straight. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and swing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and backside. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You see what I'm saying? You got 4 ways to do it. You got 2 ways of doing each one of those. Straight from the downside, straight from the and side, straight from the swung from the downside, swung from the inside. And you do those as consecutive strokes. As single strokes and double strokes, and make them all sound even. All your strokes are even, and paradiddles as even as they can in regard to the tone and the balance of sound, because of course the spacing isn't always even. The spacing is always even in the straight thing. But remember, time doesn't work on a grid like that. And if it does go down to quantum particles that are so tiny and pixelated, in the smaller quantum world, there's not solidification that makes this thing so big and formed infrastructure, right? So there's more like grains of sand that act more like water than a solid. Okay, that's how time works too. It works on a spectrum that flows straight across. So evenly spacing all your strokes, it does not encompass all the possibilities. So I hope that works or helps, Eduardo. I'm gonna take a little solo, and then we're gonna see if there are any more questions. Feel free to ask, and then if there's not any questions or whatever, we will see what's going on next week. right. Did I miss anything? I'm missing all kinds of comments. Any recommendations? Sticking practice for 5 minutes every day. Good afternoon. Great practice tips for every evening. Okay, let's see. Some great practice tips. I think some of those things that I just talked about with making sure that you go through straight and swung stickings. At least consecutive strokes per hand, and nice and slow. 5 minutes of practice, I would recommend at least quadrupling that. Probably at least 20 times that. If you're going to do 5 minutes of practice, I would make sure that it's extremely slow and challenging. Not fast motions that you just burn through. Very slow. Pay a lot of attention to how the stick is moving. 5 minutes a day, let's see, for the evening or night. Remember, if you go back a little bit, we'll see a bunch of them, a bunch of good practice tips. But I think this is something here. What is it? Denva? Hopefully I'm not messing your name up too bad. But yes, this. Up and down. Start at the bottom on the pad and make sure that you are giving attention to the stroke that you are making all the way up and down. You want to be the one that is influencing that motion, not just a drop or a stop. Perpetual fluid motion through every stroke, whether or not it's slow or fast. And do that 5 minutes a day. Remember, it's like reading. When we learn to read, we have to sound out single words in an attempt to put single words together with more words that make more sense. We don't do that lightning speed right off. It's slow. Sounding out words like small, even one syllable words I've seen people try to sound out. So just remember that. You're putting together all these tiny pieces. The better you understand them slow, the better you will understand them fast and be able to use them. So, what are my favorite rudiments? My favorite rudiments, Kurt, are to try to avoid rudiments. But I mean, of course, everybody plays with rudiments. But I think of rudiments in terms of maybe three. I've heard Philly Joe say 3 or 2, and I think there's maybe 3 or 4, and that is singles, doubles, drags, because it's a different kind of stroke. Everything else is just made up of singles and doubles, whether or not it's a paradiddle, which is just one single stroke, double stroke, single stroke, double stroke, single stroke, double stroke, single stroke, double stroke, right? This is actually a different kind of stroke, and a flam is actually a different kind of stroke, which you can make up a single stroke roll out of flams alternating. Flams alternating or single stroke roll would be like this. Right? And the same thing with drags. And you can make doubles. It's like dragging a double stroke roll. So it's actually different. So singles, doubles, drags, and flams. And anything you can make from them. So, alright. Sorry, I forgot to turn the mic back up. Favorite rudiments, singles, doubles, drags, and flams, and anything that you can make with them, because those are really the only true, I believe, for me, the stickings that you're working with. The others are just patterns. So, I have got to go because I got a big day ahead here. I appreciate you all. Thank you for being here. We're going to try to do this on a weekly basis. This is Wicked Chops Live. My name is Dominic Fragman. Thank you all for being here, and hopefully we'll see you again. Feel free to get in touch with me on my Facebook or my LinkedIn or my YouTube or my website. Questions, comments, concerns, all of it. I'll take it. So thank you again for being here. I'm on with a Drum Talk TV interview tomorrow with Dan Schinder at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So tune in, ask away. Thank you, Eduardo. I appreciate you. Hopefully there was some helpful stuff in there. Hopefully it wasn't too low to catch you off. Maybe we can do a rewind and get a lot higher volume. Thank you all again. I will talk to you soon. Have a good one.